Let me just answer this.
Does everyone have to identify themselves when we start?
Well, the board member should, and
Okay.
and then whoever's going to be the applicant and applicants, any of the applicant's witnesses.
Yeah, we'll have to swear in the witnesses.
Okay, so that would be the applicant, right, Paul?
Yeah, the applicant, and it sounds like somebody brought their employer as well. So we'll swear both of them in.
Yeah, I think that's Mr. Menino.
Okay, oops. All right, he's on hold. I'm going to proceed to let these guys in. So we have both applicants here, along with the, I believe it was the boss of the applicant by the last name of Menino. So whenever you're ready to go.
Okay, is Mr. Navarez on? Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
How are
There
you?
he is.
Hi, my name is David Foster. I'm the acting chairman of the heating board today.
Nice to meet you, David.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for showing up. We had some technical difficulties, so thank you for your patience.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
Do you have any witnesses that need to be sworn in or anything?
No, I don't.
Just you? Okay, I'm
Just
going to
me,
ask. I'm going to ask the other board members to state their names and position on the board at this time. Tom?
Tom Casey, contractor member.
John?
John Higgins Jr., unlimited journeyman.
And Cammie, if you can hear us. Cammie's still having technical problems, so hopefully you can hear us and we'll continue on. Mr. Navarez, we're going to have you swear in before we start the hearing. Go ahead, Paul.
Mr. Navarez, could I ask you to please raise your right hand? And then after I've read the oath, please affirm by stating I do. Do you solemnly swear that the evidence you are about to give concerning the case now in question shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Mr. Navarez, you applied for, from what I see, you applied for an S1 license.
Yes.
Can you tell us what happened and give us an update so all the board members know?
Yes. So I was obviously dealing with PSI. I have an operating engineer license. I work in Greenwich Hospital currently. I've had that for a little over a year. I've been there for over 2 years. I've been in the HVAC industry since 2005, but all my work was in New York State. I currently live in Greenwich, Connecticut. I went through PSI. I guess there was a mistake. I was going over it with Karen about, they said that I was able to take the test. I sent all my credentials with them too. There's another thing that's ongoing with them. I don't have my credentials back from them. They did want the original documents, so I'm not sure. Unfortunately, it's like a dead end with them. Every time I try to call them and see where my documents are now, my journeyman's license from New York State, anything else I sent to them is I don't know, it seems to be lost. But yeah, my goal is to take the S1. I want to be a contractor. I want to do work, especially locally. And that's basically where I'm at now, is just to be, to get that license and, basically start doing some work and in hopes to start my own business locally. And I do have also an offer right now, another contractor that would like me to work for them in the capacity of a sales engineer. That's something in the works. Obviously, I'd rather do my own thing at this point because I've been doing it for so long. But that's basically where I'm at now.
Yeah, I see you were approved for the S1, which was a mistake, but your credentials show that you're qualified to take the S2, which you took the S2 test, correct?
I did, yes. I went there and it was, yeah, I took the S2. Unfortunately, I missed it. I didn't realize it was a mistake to even let me take the test. I had the email, I sent it to Karen saying that, you know, my name was there. I was approved to take it. And she said, no, this isn't the way that we usually do this. And I said, okay, let's do whatever needs to be done. I had a course to take this weekend at IMTI. I basically took the test I said, let me throw a Hail Mary. I want to just take it. It was not a good day. It was a tough situation at that, the PSI testing center with the mask and how hot it was. And, you know, it wasn't my best day. I normally would have passed it. I basically breezed through it. I said, you know what, I'm going to fail it anyways. And I was scheduled to take the course at IMTI for the S1 this weekend. Unfortunately, they pushed it back a weekend, so I have to reschedule with them. In the meantime, I ordered all the books and everything. I have all the other books from my chief engineer at the hospital, who he has an S1 license as well. It's just kind of something I wanted to do, like I said, as much as for myself, and also in hopes to start my own business.
Okay. So he was approved to take the S1, but sat for the S2 because there was a mistake, and he has his OEM license, and he also has an apprenticeship with the state of New York through what?
It's a local 21 in Peekskill. It's a steam fitters HVAC union.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've had that since 2008. I started with them. Yeah, it's a state accredited apprenticeship. I believe that's why I was able to take the operating engineer's license as well. I got approved for it because it was, I guess they acknowledged it, that it was in the realm. So a lot of the other guys at the hospital, they had to work there for years to even get approved to take that.
Right.
So that's why I figured that it was okay that I apply for the S license, because of the past experience I have with. I went to Lincoln Tech. That was the first thing I did, was Lincoln Tech after high school. Then I got into the Steam Fitters Union, and I did that ever since 2 years ago. I started at Greenwich Hospital because I live up the road. It was easier for me, and the commute was getting tougher and tougher every, going down to the city and all over Westchester. But a lot of company I was working for was taking a lot of work in New York City. So with my family, it got kind of easy, to work down basically the Greenwich Hospital.
Yep. Richard, were you in agreement that he qualified for the S2 with the union down there and their apprenticeship program and all his education?
I could speak on that for a second there, David.
Thanks, John.
It's a 5-year program. It's the same in the UA across the country. Everybody has a 10,000 hour 5-year program. So I don't think that's where he's lacking. But I don't know how he got to take the S1 without having a Connecticut contractor license. He should have been at the S2 first. And then he has the 2-year waiting period. So I don't know. Usually we let him take the S2 and then skip the waiting period if he has the credentials. So I'm kind of, I don't know if I was there the day that we approved this or how it got approved.
Yeah, he was an IDS. He was an IDS1 and approved for the S2.
So he took the S2, John. He didn't take the S1. So I think he's here today. Once he passes the S2, we can give him some guidance on the S1. So normally, Mr. Navarez, in the state of Connecticut, you have to work under a contractor as a licensed 2 journeyman for 2 years. So once you get your S2, in the normal course of business in Connecticut and the regulations that we follow, you would wait 2 years to work under a licensed contractor, and then you can go for your contractor's license. If there's a hardship, the board can consider your hardship and they can waive the 2 years for that hardship. So, you know, the recommendation here would be, and you're hopefully take the review course and you can pass the S2, is once you get that license, if you would like, we're not going to vote on that today, of course, because you've already been approved for the S2. You just need to pass that, but you can always come back and ask for a hardship
But,
for
David,
that time. Yes, Richard.
but you can count his journey person experience time he has out of state. So once he passes the S2, then he could ask for a waiver of the 2-year waiting period, because it sounds like to me he has almost over 6, he has at least 6 years journey person experience out of state.
Well, if that's the case, I didn't know how long he was a journeyman. Then the board can discuss that today if that's something you'd like to do. It's up to Mr. Navarez. Do you want us to talk about the waiver of that time?
Yeah, absolutely. I understand the wait time. I understand. Yeah, obviously, yeah, at the capacity that was my line of work. I was a HVAC commercial journeyman in New York after I did the apprenticeship. I wish I had the documents in front of me. I'm trying to remember exactly when I graduated from there. They waived some time because I went to Lincoln Tech. It is a 5-year program. They got rid of, I believe, based on the placement of my testing and the contractor I was working for, they always paid me above anyways. I told them never to coddle me. I said, you know, I like being on call. I like the work, you know, so I was in the truck.
I'm sorry, how many years were you a active journeyman once you got your license?
I got my journeyman's card in 2008.
2008?
Yes.
Okay, so you've been working as a journeyman for quite a few years.
Yes.
Guys, what do you think? Any input on?
I will make a motion that he retake the S2. When he passes the S2, we will waive the time and allow him to sit for the S1.
I'm against it. I don't see the hardship. I mean, I understand the waiving period, but if he decides to go in business and he needs the S1, he can apply for it and we would probably consider it. But right now he's talking about having a job opportunity and needs an S2 for the job opportunity, not an S1. I'm not a fan of giving out S1s like that. So I'm just giving you the heads up. I'm not going to vote for it, but I'll let you guys say what you think.
Well, the way it stands, since there's only 3 of us, you didn't second it. So my motion is null and void. Do you want to make that as you want to make a motion?
I think David Campbell is right. I'm not sure there's any motion to be done. Like, get the S2, pass it, get it secured, then decide what you're going to do, your pathway forward. If you all of a sudden decide, yeah, I'm ready to start a business, you know, we have a record here of this meeting. You can come back and say, hey, remember you told me if I had a hardship or I needed to do something to actually launch into the business, you guys would consider it. At that point, it would be appropriate to make a motion. But right now we're motioning into the ether. It's not actually a real thing.
Yeah, I would agree. That's the hardship would be something like Tom had said. You need your license to get into the business. Right now, if you go into the other sales opportunity job, you've got 2 years, and then you can just automatically take that contractor's license. So because there wasn't a second, we would obviously go back to you and just give you some reference on if this is what you want to do in the future, you can come back to the board with the hardship.
Okay, yeah, I understand. Just for reference to the company I was talking about, they do carry S1 license anyways. So it wouldn't be me bringing it to them. I see what you're saying. It was Bud Hammer has had that license probably since maybe the early 90s, I think, when I was talking to him about it and told him that I was going for it just for my own reasons. And, you know, he's offered, he wants me over there, but I was probably 10% on board with that. My goal is to start my own business 100%. Obviously, I've been asked by quite a few places. There seems to be a labor shortage. There's no mystery of that everywhere. So you know, believe me, I've been contacted by quite a few people. But as far as like my thing working locally, that's my goal. In Greenwich Hospital, being an operating engineer does fill that void, but it's a slower paced job. It's you know, I miss the field a lot. I miss going around. I miss doing the work, and to do that locally and to start my own businesses. That's the dream. That's the goal.
Okay. Yeah. So right now, the way it looks, if you do come back with a hardship, the board may or may not look favorably on that. But if you're starting your own business, you know, that could be a hardship that you actually need to have that contractor's license, obviously, to start that business. So pass the S2 test, get your LLC started, and, you know, come back and the board can vote on that in the future.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's, I appreciate that. Yeah, I just thought that I could get the S1 before that to get the LLC and stuff, but I see what you're saying. So if I could do that stuff first and, you know, and come back to you with basically the plan, that's fine. Because I know I will not pass that. As much studying as I did on the business portion of that test, I knew for a fact that I wasn't going to pass it unless I did the course and everything. So, you know, and I think the next one is September. I have my own literature I ordered, but I would like to take that course. All the guys that I do know that have that license, they said the same thing. They said, you want to take that so you're not struggling you actually do good on the test, not struggle to pass it.
Yeah. So the S2, you won't have to take that part of it because that's the business laws, the contractors. So get your S2 and then come back and you can see if you can get the hardship from the board if you're ready to go in on your own business. There's certainly a lot of business out there. So
yeah, no, believe me, especially in my area, I get asked a lot.
Yeah, you know? I'm sure you do.
Yeah, and they know I'm in the industry. Like I said, I kind of slowed down because, you know, a lot of my contacts in New York that I did work there was, you know, it's farther from me now. I want to be local. That's the dream, the goal.
Right.
So I appreciate it.
You got it. Anyone else? Go ahead, Karen.
Can you just recap the motion and exactly how we ended up here?
John made a motion to waive the time. It was not seconded, so the motion failed. And at this point, we're just advising him what to do. And he's going to take the S2 test. And if he passes the S2 test and he has a hardship, he can come back to the board for the time being waived for the hardship in the future.
Okay, so does he need, I guess I'm asking maybe if Paulette's still here, do they need to still vote on the S1 application and deny it? Or sorry about that, Paul. Do they need to vote to deny the S1 again?
Yeah, I believe so, because this is requested review before the board. So we're going to have to issue a decision about his request for the S1. So we would need a motion and a vote.
Okay. So I need a motion to approve him for the S1. Or not approve him. I need a motion.
I need a motion to deny the S1.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And what is your reason for the denial? I'm sorry, this is Paulette, because JP is going to be drafting the decision. So if you can please articulate that. Thank you.
He's not qualified for the S1 in the state of Connecticut. That was a mistake on PSI's part. He was qualified to sit for the S2. So that's the test that he would need to sit for.
And he's not qualified because what's missing?
He's missing a 2-year period working under a S1 licensed contractor as a journeyman once he gets his license.
Thank you.
even though he had many years as a journey person in another state.
Correct. Yeah, this board is always historically someone coming with a license from either out of state or a sub license, and they have not had the contractor's license before.
Okay.
We normally will go that route to pass the journeyman's, and then if there's a hardship, we will let them sit. We waive that time and let them sit for the S1.
Okay, so he's got to what he can do. Anthony can send me an email stating that you want to change the license category of this application from S1 to S2, and then I can let PSI know that you are approved for the S2, and then you can take it again. And then once you pass that, if you would like to, at any time you can submit an S1 application, and then we can go from there if you want to. If not, after 2 years, like they were saying, you're automatically.
I see. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, and I'll get the gears in motion with all that stuff, and come back with the S1, the S2, and okay. I'll send that email. I don't know if I mean, obviously this is a side note, but is there a way that I don't know what else to do about PSI? I don't know because I remember talking to Karen about this with the with my paperwork, my credentials. I don't have any of that stuff now. So
yeah, I can talk to you about that afterwards, but I did check with them and they said, I forwarded to them what I have, which is a copy of your OE2 license, your state of New York apprenticeship certificate, and they said they never received anything else from you. So, but we can talk about that through email and go from there, because that's all I got. And like I said, I confirmed with them. They said that's all they got too.
Okay.
So, but we'll work on that.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome.
All right. Good luck.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it, guys. Have a great day.
Okay. We ready to start the next hearing?
Yep. I'm just looking for, Francesco Menino. He's here. He's in the meeting. He should be able to speak. Can you hear us?
Mr. Menino, are you there? Hit your mute button if you can.
I can take his boss off hold. Let's see.
Hello?
Oh,
Hi.
there you go.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay. I think they're ready to discuss your application. And
do you need I'm sorry, do you need the camera on also, or?
I'm not sure if they need it or not. Can somebody from the legal division, does he need his camera on, or?
I don't think it's necessary. If he has that function and the board wants to see him, that would be okay. But if not, that's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And then we have Paul Konerski, who is his boss apparently.
All right, Mr. Menino, my name is David Foster. I'm acting chairman of the heating board today. I'm going to have the members of the board introduce themselves and their position on the board, starting with Tom. Oh, you're on mute, Tom.
Tom Casey, contractor member.
John
Higgins Jr., unlimited journeyman.
And did we ever get Cammy, or is he still having technical difficulties?
I believe he's still having technical difficulty.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, welcome. I'm going to have Paul, our attorney, swear you in for the meeting. So that, go ahead, Paul.
So I'm going to ask Mr. Konwerski and Mr. Menino to please raise your right hand so I can administer the oath. And after I'm done with the oath, I'll call on each of you separately to affirm by stating I do. Do you solemnly swear that the evidence you are about to give concerning the case now in question shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury? Mr. Konwerski?
I do.
And Mr. Menino?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Menino, you applied for a S2. Why don't you tell us about that so everyone can hear your dilemma that you're having?
Okay, so I went to, just a backstory. I went to Bullard Havens in Bridgeport, where I took up plumbing and heating. That was a trade. It just wasn't plumbing or it just wasn't heating. It was actually both. I did. Once I graduated, I got hooked up with my boss now, Paul Konworski, working for Paul the plumber, and was registered right away for my plumbing license. That was my main goal at the time, just getting my plumbing license. So went through the 4-year apprenticeship. Graduated Bullard Havens with the 1,500 on-the-job hours I needed and the 576 theory hours, and then got with Paul registered so I could accumulate the rest of the 8,000 hours, and then get my license. So 4 years, I think in 2015, that's when I got my P2 plumbing license. At that point, I was kind of just eager to get in the truck, so we kind of put the S2 on hold a little bit. But as throughout my whole apprenticeship and even now working under him, when there's when we ever do like a hydronic call or heating calls, installs, commercial and residential, I'm usually working under Paul, which is an S1 license guy, and another mechanic we have, which is holding an S license. And once I was ready to start saying, you know what, I should really get going on my S license to further my career, I started contacting the state to see what needed to be done for that. And someone had mentioned that since I went to Bullard Havens and did accumulate heating hours through that, and have been with Paul for 11 years working under an S license, that I possibly can be eligible to take the S2, even though I didn't hold a proper apprenticeship. So that's kind of where I'm at now.
Okay. And Mr. Konworski, did you want to add to anything to this?
So I guess I would say at the time I got my S1 license, it was in the same realm. I was not re-registered with the state of Connecticut, and I took the S test rather quickly after getting my P license. I didn't wait, and I had been pushing him to get his license for a long time. I didn't wait, but I was not registered by Charlie Waterman as a heating technician or a heating apprentice at the time. I don't want to say it was assumed that it was, since you're working in the trade, you're accumulating the hours. So I understand it's a separate license, but I didn't do that under a second apprenticeship. And that was back in 1990, 80s to 90s.
Right. Mr. Mannino, your heating education, did that include any air conditioning, refrigeration, commercial air conditioning?
It did not. It was all considered. It was more just heating for hydronic, so service and installations from that. Just more boilers. We really didn't do anything with as far as HVAC. Right.
So you need to, in the state of Connecticut for the S2, you need to complete the refrigeration and air conditioning schooling part of it. That's part of the S2. You're also supposed to be in a bona fide S2 journeyman's program. Part of that program is working under your, obviously your boss with his S1, he can register you. So the state considers all the time that you've worked under him unregistered as unregistered time. So it doesn't go towards your S2 license.
There's a better license for you, not an S2, because even though, Paul, you have it, it's back in the days when it was the wild, wild west. Today, you'll never get an S2 because you don't have the refrigeration. Richard could probably elaborate, but I'm going to guess it's going to be what, an S8 maybe, or something like that, or S7. But there's another S license that you probably can qualify for with your experience if we waive your apprenticeship time, which we're not agreeing to yet. But S2 is a unlimited steam fitter and refrigeration license, which you have no schooling, no experience, and you're not going to get it working under your current situation.
Okay.
Richard, what's that license that he'd be better qualified for? Do you know off the top of your head? S4 maybe, S5,
I think it's S7. I think you're correct the first time. It's hydronics only.
Yeah, it's a hydronic only license because S9 is still refrigeration,
right.
AC.
So it would be the
times.
Yeah, it'd be the unlimited. I would assume unlimited.
He's got P2 unlimited, and he's got if we make it, we still have to make a decision. Looks like the schooling is there potentially, that he's been on an S license unregistered time, but that'd be the best we could even possibly consider, in my opinion, guys. I don't know how you feel, John or Dave, but he's not gonna qualify for the S2 or the S9.
Right. So it would be, I'm fairly sure it's S8 because those are all the journeymen, the odd numbers. So that's the one it would be. That would be up to unlimited. You do commercial heating, right? You say commercial?
We do, and residential, commercial and residential.
Right. So that would be the license that he might be able to sit for if we waived the time. Well, Richard must be busy or something, but whatever that license is. So, John, you have any input as far as the S2 is concerned? Whoop, go ahead, Richard.
What was your question?
So our applicant, Mr. Menino, has not had any schooling in refrigeration or air conditioning. And
what size boiler system does he work on? Up to 500,000 BTUs?
That you got to answer that.
And he's doing commercial too, so that.
Well, it doesn't matter if it's up to 500,000 BTUs and not more than 15 pound steam. Then he could go for the S8.
Yeah, that's right.
So what if it's more than 1 million or 2 million?
Well, then you can't work. You'd have to go for the S4.
S4.
The S4 has a lot of other requirements besides the size, doesn't it? That's welded.
The S4 is going to put cooling in there. It's wet cooling. It's no refrigeration, but it is chillers,
chilled water,
wet side.
But it's also got welding requirements, right?
Well, they all have welding requirements, even electrical types.
Well, I mean, as far as the steam fitter requirements, higher for the higher pressure steam.
Right. It's any pressure. S4 is any pressure steam in any size system, oil or gas.
You're not doing welded pipe, Francisco. You're not welding steam lines or boiler lines. You're doing thread and copper, correct?
Yes.
So S4 is out.
The other thing that's hard to certify too, going to Bullet Havens, is not that he had 4 years of HVAC or steam fitter side. So those classes are typically half plumbing. So it's really more 2 years probably dedicated towards.
I think his certificates are attached. You can look at them, John, if you open it up, the email from Karen.
I don't have that handy.
Gotcha. Let me see if I can find it quick. Stand by.
Well, the S8 would get him up to 500,000 BTUs and up to 15 pounds of steam for hydronic, and he could do warm air systems, oil and gas burners.
Now, is there separate schooling I could do specifically just for, so part of the credentials I have already, and then just add on the refrigerating courses?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you met with your representative and signed up for the S2, they would go through the courses you would need to take to finish your license.
Okay, so it wouldn't necessarily be a whole 4-year apprenticeship. It would just be the refrigeration, which could, let's for example, say take 2 years or so.
It's whatever courses you're missing. So they'll do a cross-reference because there is overlap of courses between the P2 and the S2.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, you've been working illegally because you weren't registered as an apprentice and didn't have the license. So
this is his transcripts here. So it's basically just a high school. So like Richard said, you call your your apprentice agent and find out where the cross classes need to happen, and you can go to just take the classes you need for the S8 that you're missing.
And the cross-reference classes are indicated on the Department of Labor website, and that's where they'll get it from.
Yeah. So
you get registered as S2 apprentice and ask them what courses you still need to take. He might send you to your trade school at night. And all the VOCTAC schools in Connecticut have online classes now.
S8 apprentice.
And there's no way to test for an S8 now with the experience that he has.
Yeah, but you need to register him. He's never been registered as an S apprentice.
I think that
even at the time it wasn't specified. I don't know if it was specified or not that it was plumbing only.
I've been on the board for over 10 years, and there's no way to get a license if you've never been registered unless you have a nice license in another state.
Yeah,
what's the beyond just improving yourself, Francisco, which is admirable? What's the purpose? Why do you need the S8 license?
Well, I mean, like I said, I've been employed with Paul for 11 years, and obviously it opens up more opportunities for me if I hold another license, you know, and where it's more beneficial also to my employer if I hold a license, then instead of just being kind of the helper on these heating calls and these heating installations, I can go out eventually and do them on my own.
Okay, I'll re-ask the question a different way. And if you were listening previously to the gentleman who was trying to get an S1 but did not have a hardship, what is the purpose? What are you not able to do at Paul's for yourself and your family because you do not have an S8 license?
Well, I mean, I guess at that point, it's just basically, you know, just advancing in my career and moving up.
Well, it sounds like to me he's working for a combination shop. So his employer has a P1 and an S1. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Correct.
So during his apprenticeship years, regardless of whether it's a P2 apprenticeship or S2 apprenticeship, what have you, the apprentice can work in both areas, but predominant duty shall be what the apprentice is registered in.
Yeah, and
so,
you know, even just kind of like how my boss, when I was getting my P2 and I wasn't taking the license, you know, he said the example, he's like, I can't put you in your own truck and you can't make more money if you're not licensed and in your own truck. This is kind of like a dead end for me. So in order for me to advance in my career, making more money, I need to hold another license in order to advance in his company and be able to do more.
But you've been there 11 years doing what you've been doing. I don't see the harm in getting registered for whatever you want to get registered for and doing. And come if you have a hardship where you know you need to get another job and you got registered time, then with the board, I think could look at it differently. But you know, you've never been registered. You don't
the
have
better
the
move, the better move for you right now probably would be to have your employer register. You keep your P2 license, have employer register you as an S2 apprentice, go to the Department of Labor, get registered as an S2 apprentice and find out what courses you're missing and take those courses online and get them over with. And then they'll sign you off with whatever credit they'll give you for trade school as well as your previous time as a licensed P2.
Okay.
That would be the best track for you to get your S2 license.
He can never get his S2 license because they're not going to actually be able to fulfill the apprenticeship requirements. They're a plumbing and heating shop. He's got to go for the S8.
Okay.
So register, and you can have an S8 apprentice underneath an S1 or license. He's got to go for the S8 apprenticeship because if he comes in front of the board, we're going to say, where's your EPA certificate? What are your hours? He's got to take all the cooling classes, which is hundreds of hours. I mean, the fastest path for him is to register as an S8, find out the discrepancy between what he took in Bullard Havens and the S8 education requirements, knock those things off online or at night, come back in front of the board and say, hey, I did what you told me to do. I took my classes. Is there a way you can collapse and accelerate my time? Because Paul's going to hire somebody to move up to this open position that could be mine if I had my S8. So I'm going to be held back behind. I will not be able to save for my kids' college education. Things are going to be terrible. There's a recession coming. Dogs are living with cats. I have a hardship here now. That is how I would play it if I was you. And then when you come in front of the board, you've done some good faith things. You've fulfilled the education requirements for DOL. And now we can get you into the proper license category for plumbing and heating. You have a P2 and an S8. You now can do unlimited plumbing and unlimited 500,000 BTU and 15-pound steam for heating. You can do everything you got to do at your job.
Understood. Yeah. No,
I was mistaken. I thought they were doing air conditioning also.
I don't believe so, correct? You guys are just doing plumbing and heating, right?
We do occasionally do air.
But he'd have to go through all the AC classes then.
Yes.
And he'd have to serve all those hours under registered apprenticeship, which is going to delay him. You can have your S8 much faster, Francisco, much faster.
Well, he can get his S8 and then re-register for an S2.
And then you can always re-register for an S2 after that. But meanwhile, you have your S8, you can work and do all your heating stuff. Then if you decide to better yourself, take all the cooling classes, and Paul can, get you that apprenticeship time doing all the facets of refrigeration, then you could potentially get your S2. But I would also have a piece of advice for you on that. If I was you, I would go for your S10 first, because again, it's more limited to what you're doing. S2 is an unlimited license. So unless you're doing, chillers and big stuff, you're not gonna be able to meet the requirements of the apprenticeship time in the field.
Okay.
So I like to say, follow stepping stones. So you've got your P2, you're rock solid, step to the S8, check that box off, then register for the S10. If you want to have a cooling license, take the classes, get the S10. And then if you're super ambitious and you want to, you can get the apprenticeship time for commercial, industrial, AC, and refrigeration, register for the S2.
Will do. Okay.
All right. Any questions, Mr. Menino?
No. So I guess, like you just said, I have to talk to the apprenticeship program and then see what I have to go at least to get the S8. And then if I need any more credentials from the S8, and then work my way up from there.
Okay. Very good. The board does have an application in front of it for an S2. I need a motion.
Motion to deny the S2.
Second.
Any discussion?
Let me modify that motion if I can. Motion to deny the S2, but once he does the things, takes the S8 classes he's missing, he can appear in front of the board. And I would suggest we waive the apprenticeship time to allow him to sit for the S8 once he takes the classes.
And is a registered S8 apprentice?
Is a registered S8 apprentice, then we'll consider waiving the time for equivalent experience time.
Thank you.
So he's still going to register as an S8 and then come back to us? Is that your motion?
Register as an S8, take the classes, come back, prove the classes. At that point, he'll have submit an S8 application. We'll waive the apprenticeship time. He'll sit for the S8 test. That's my motion.
That we're going to vote on whether to waive the time, correct?
Correct. He's got to come in front and prove. Then we can vote at that point.
And we're going to vote whether or not to. We're not automatically waiving the time. He's got to come back for a vote on that.
My motion is to waive the time because he's already got the time.
All right. But if I won't be seconding that.
All right. So what would you propose?
What your original motion was, which I already seconded, and it's still motion on the floor with a second.
He can always come back. He can always come back. He can always come back, Tom.
Yeah, I agree.
So, and then we can see it's going to take time to take those classes, so he'll have more registered time at that point.
Right, and then we
can consider the waiving of the time at that point.
I'll be curious how much time they credit him for having the P2 anyways. P2 is a harder license to get than the SE.
I don't agree.
The time-wise?
No, not time-wise. I'm saying the actual
time-wise. It requires more time for the P2 than the S8 if I'm going off.
Yeah, that's 8,000 hours.
So
that's 8,000 on the job.
He's got 8,000 apprenticeship hours. This is going to be like a little bit of difference. So the time he takes his classes, if he's registered, that should hopefully wind down the time clock the rest of the way. And we might not even need to waive time, but he's clearly here to try to do the right thing. He's not bullshitting us. So.
Right.
I believe it's another 2 years, that it's a total of 6 years by the state. If you have a P2, you need another 2 years to get the S2. I could be mistaken, right, Richard?
Richard's on island time.
Yeah, that's on the deal.
That's for the S2
as well.
Right, and that's for the S2. So the S8 probably
right,
could be a year.
Just go talk to his training rep and get registered as an apprentice and take whatever courses he's missing and complete the time as needed.
Yeah, it won't
so the motion stands to deny the S2?
Motion stands to deny the S2, yes.
And then he knows everything else he has to do.
Correct, I assume. At this point, yeah. I'm confused, but.
So the motion is.
Let me remake a motion. How about that? So I rescind my motion. Okay, can I do that, Karen?
Yep, it was seconded. We were in discussion. Can he rescind a motion or do we have to vote on it?
I'm really not sure. Can somebody from legal
You
assist
could
with
do
that?
both.
If you want to back out, I'll rescind my second. He can rescind his motion. We can start all over.
Okay.
So you ready? We're going to start over.
Okay, give us a motion.
Simple. So I make a motion to deny the S2 based on lack of school, lack of apprenticeship time, lack of refrigeration, air conditioning. Further, my motion is to approve that if he takes the S8, registers as an S8 apprentice, and takes the S8 courses he's missing, he can appear in front of the board for consideration of waiving the S8 time.
If any.
And I will second that if that's the end of it.
That's the end.
Motion.
That's all motion.
I said.
John seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any deny? No. So he's denied the S2 at this point, and he knows what to do to try and get his S8.
So the whole motion, it's unanimous, and that the S2 is denied, and that he should register as an F8, that S8 takes classes, and that he comes back before the board with that information, the classes and more registered time. The board will reconsider his
Application for the S8.
application for the S2.
I think the motion included the reasons why it was denied.
Okay.
Yep.
It did. Yeah, I have it right here. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
We won't consider as S2, Karen. It was S8.
S8.
Okay. So then you'll reconsider him for an S8. Okay.
Yep. Like Richard said, he may have the time. By the time that he's done, he may have it. So he may not need to come back.
Right. The labor department might sign him off by the time he gets done taking the classes and give him an official apprenticeship completion letter for the S8.
Right. All right. Any questions, Mr. Menino?
Loud and clear. I appreciate
All
your
right.
time, guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks for doing things right, trying to do things right. We hope
Hey,
continue
Paul,
onward
just
and
so you
upward.
know, we don't waive apprenticeship time anymore. Paul haven't for a long time. So just for future, if guys want to step from license to license, or you have apprentices, they're not going to do time served. They're going to have to do apprentice time served. Just so for anybody else who might be in this situation, just to accelerate and save you the time and the aggravation yourself.
Yeah, they didn't waive time that back then when I was an apprentice either. It wasn't. I don't know. I didn't wait as long as he did, and I don't know. I don't know if I was registered as a plumbing and heating, or if it was just plumbing. And I don't know if you would know if he was registered for plumbing and heating or just plumbing. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, they still have a combination plumbing and heating 6-year program course. If somebody wants to get registered as an apprentice and complete all the schooling with credit from trade school, if that's applicable, and end up being approved for both license types at the end of the combination program.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll find out. I'll talk to my rep from the state, and we'll see what he was registered for. If it's different than what he thinks or what I think, then we'll come back and we'll get him registered as a S8 apprentice.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for showing up, guys.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Going to end the
Thank
hearing.
you.
Do we have any further business, or are we done? I think the meeting.
We're done.
We can call the meeting to end.
Okay.
See you guys later.
Thanks everyone for showing up today.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for prodding me to get on. I totally forgot.